So, good morning and welcome to the press conference of La Siren, the Siren, the opening movie of Panorama section. I'm very happy to introduce you to the guests, and I start at the very left. So we have here with us Sébastien Onomo, executive director. Zaven Najjar, production designer. Mina Kavani, voice actor. Sepideh Farsi, the director. Hamidreza Javan, voice actor. And Djavahery, screenplay. And sorry, Sébastien is producer, not director. Yeah, I'm very, very touched by your movie, and I was also very happy to moderate it yesterday, the premiere. It was really beautiful. And you told us yesterday that you had an 8-year process of creating this movie, and I would like to invite you to explore a bit on this journey and how all this lovely crew and cast came on board with you to this journey.
Good morning, everybody. The decision or the preoccupation of making a film about this episode of Iran's history, meaning the war, that is long forgotten in a way, but still very there in terms of the society in Iran, has been there for a long while, and I was always looking for the right form to do so, and quite soon it was clear to me that the animation was the right medium to make such a film, and specifically about the siege of the city of Abadan. which is a very prominent episode of that war. And as I do not draw, as you all know, I come from live action films. I've made fiction and documentary. I was looking for a person whose work would inspire me. And that happened when I met Zaven in 2014. And I really liked the simplicity and the iconic character of his style. And so that's how it started. And Javad was, of course, already on board because we've been, he's my partner in life and crime. So, and then I met Sébastien and the rest of the team came over. So that's how it took shape.
Yeah, thank you very much. You dedicated also the movie to your father, who has shown you Abadan for the first time. Maybe you can tell us a bit about that, and also about the history that is like with you and the city, and now creating this movie.
My father's profession was to build roads. So there are entire regions of Iran where he built the roads. And as a child, I was always traveling with him. He would put me in a car and take me on like it was the first time a car would ever touch a road, and it was my father's car, and I was there on board with him. So it is that kind of memories that I have, and I have this vivid memory of my first trip to Abadan. I must have been very, very young, I don't know, 1 or 2 years old, and I remember a cabaret and a singer, in a shabby, dark room, and this woman's voice which mesmerized me as a child. And this is the image I still keep from Abadan, the pre-revolutionary Abadan, obviously. And I think it was one of the sparks for many of the scenes and the atmospheres I tried to recreate in the Siren. And my father unfortunately passed away last year in Iran, and I was far away, and I could not, as I can't go back to Iran, I lost him being far away, so hence the dedication.
Thank you very much. And maybe Javad, can you, because Sepideh already said you're a partner in crime and also in life, but can you tell us?
Today.
Yes. Can you tell us a bit about the work of creating this story, and also there's so many metaphors and so many different links to different contexts, also cultural. Maybe you can explore a bit on that.
Je vais parler en français.
I'll speak in French.
Donc c'était une époque où je travaillais sur
That
un
was a
roman.
time where I was working on a
Donc
novel.
une bonne partie passée pendant la
And
guerre
that was quite a
et
long time
en
during
Irak.
the war.
Donc j'ai lu pas mal
Iran-Iraq.
d'ouvrages à cette époque-là, pas mal
I was
de
working on quite a few
fiction
pieces
et
of art,
pas mal de documentaires,
works,
etc.
fiction, documentaries, and so on.
J'ai vu que les visions qui étaient proposées par ces ouvrages-là, c'était complètement biaisé, donc c'était produit par
different from
le
reality
propagande de régime.
and influenced by the regime propaganda. It was pro-war,
D'un côté, sans
and
approcher le sujet
the
essentiel qui
subject,
c'était la guerre.
the actual
Alors une
subject,
guerre
the central
est très
subject of the
important,
war
un
was
pays
actually
n'est pas le même
not
avant et
treated
après.
as such.
Nous avons vécu
And
ça
then, of course,
en
we had
Europe
the
déjà,
topic of
l'Europe
before
avant
and
la guerre,
after,
après la guerre, c'est pas du
and
tout
we
le
had
même,
before the war, it's
continent.
completely
L'Allemagne
different.
avant, après la
Europe
guerre n'est pas
as
du tout
well,
le même
before the
pays,
war,
l'Iran non
and
plus.
Germany, and after the
Et on le
war,
vit
it's a
actuellement,
completely different
l'Ukraine
pictures. The same
après
is
la
true
guerre,
for
ce ne sera pas
Iran,
le même
and
Ukraine
for
qu'avant.
Ukraine,
Donc ça veut dire
it
que
will be the
c'était
same
un sujet
thing after the
extrêmement
war.
important
So
qui
it
a
was a highly
complètement bouleversé l'histoire
topical
de
subject,
l'Iran,
and it was very
mais
important
aussi prend
for
la guerre comme
Iran's
un
history.
métaphore, parce que
We see war
il y
as a
a deux
metaphor
choses qui se ressemblent
because
vraiment,
there
ce
are
sont
things
les
which
deux guerres, ou les
really
guerres se
are
ressemblent,
quite
les crimes
alike.
se
I
ressemblent.
mean, every
Et toujours,
war is
c'est
like
une
another
histoire
war,
qui se
the
répète.
victims as well.
Ce
It's
sont les civils qui
history
vont
repeating
payer
itself.
les plus
The
grosses
civil population,
tribus.
the simple population, they
ça,
have to
c'était
pay the
une idée
tribute.
qui
Civilians.
nous a amené à faire
And that's the reason
film,
why we made this film.
Comme un témoignage
It
historique,
was
mais
not
aussi
just
dans
as
l'arrière-plan
historical testimony,
d'une histoire personnelle et voire même
and
une histoire
also
d'amour. Voilà
personal
ce qui a
history,
donné
story, and
l'idée
a
de
love
ce-
story even
de ce scénario qui est
behind
devenu un
this
film.
screenplay, which then was turned into a film.
Thank you very much. We were talking also about pre-war and post-war, and right now we are in the middle of the revolution. Maybe can you about feminist revolution, actually, to be precise? Can you bind or like interlink the connections between your movie and the current situation, both of you?
Yes, one of the aspects we wanted to address with Javan, and I'm always fascinated by these shifting periods. We are right now in a shifting period in Iran, in the sense that there is an ongoing revolution, and I call it a revolution on purpose because it is so. And although there are days where, you know, we think, it's gone. But last night, as we speak, actually, there are still people on the streets of, cities in Iran. And last night there were riots in many cities. So it is, these periods, these shifting periods are very interesting to me. And the period we address, 1980, in the film, in the Siren, is the beginning of the war, and it's just about less than 2 years after the revolution. So there are still stigmas of the pre-revolutionary era, and yet we are beyond the revolution, and that's also what we try to show. And I also asked Zaven a lot to integrate in his design elements, graphic elements of the pre-revolutionary, and things like the diva, the character of the singer. I mean, all those things which are, in that transitional period. And I think it's very important because history is made of layers, and it's interesting to show those layers.
Yeah, thank you. And Zaven, can you tell us how your process was to actually design Abadan, which is a real city, and also like finding all these hints that Sepideh was already mentioned, and also like the scenes on Djavahery, like the war scenes, they were quite touching and very realistic when it comes to like real photographies that have been made before. Like, can you tell about your research and also about your artistic approach towards that?
Well, first of all, this story was when I met Sepideh and Javan, I could feel the emotion, how important it was for them to tell that very important story. It was extremely moving for me also, because in my family we have similar stories in Syria and in Lebanon, similar or comparable at least. So it was always part of our story, that kind of humor to tell very terrible part of histories. So starting from that, I wanted to create those very striking images, like a canvas for every image. So that was the first ambition, the first challenge. And then we started researching, because Abadan is very different now than it was in 1980. So we did all this research, asking people for every corner, every street, every element, to recreate those streets and this whole city. And starting from that, it was like walking in the city that doesn't exist anymore. So I had to have a camera in my head and draw all these images. And about the war scenes, it's pretty similar. Like we had a lot of pictures, talk to as many people as possible, like gather all this information and then create images and design from them.
Thank you. There was a question. And another one.
Hello, this is Babak Gafriazar. I see that there is a Persian translator, so I think that I can ask my question in Farsi. Maybe it's better for our media.
Yes, yeah. And you have like translation on this.
تبریک میگم خانم فارسی و میخواستم بدونم که نظر شما چگونه است این دوره جشنواره فیلم برلین شاهد حضور طیف دیگری از سینماگران ایرانی هستین که صداهای متفاوتی رو از گذشته نسبت به روند مرسومی که در جشنواره ها میدیدیم نمایندگی میکنن. فیلم شما هم یکی از اونها هست. فکر میکنید دوران تازه‌ای شروع شده که سینماگرانی برای روایت‌های رسمی اون چیزی که حکومت جمهوری اسلامی میپسنده همیشه در جشنواره‌ها شرکت کنن. میدونیم این دوره جشنواره برلین هم نمایندگان بخش حکومتی سینما ایران اجازه حضور در برلین رو پیدا نکردن. شما خودتون رو نماینده کدوم بخش از در واقع مردم
who are not able to take part in Berlinale. So, which part are you of Iranian society?
روشنه اگر قرار باشه من نمایندگی، البته هر کسی نماینده خودش اول از همه، ولی من این رو به فال نیک میگیرم واقعا که نمایندگان رسمی و دولتی ایران امسال حضور نداشتن در جشنواره به دلایلی که برشت نشون میده که
I do not know that there are so many filmmakers who cannot be here this year at the festival, and we are from the independent cinema, Iran's independent cinema, and this year we have a free association of filmmakers, and we're trying to get together, and we're trying to cooperate, and we are trying to cry out that there's a caesura in Iran now, and our films have not been seen by people in Iran. They're not screened there. We have to circulate, we have to shoot them in secret in Iran, and there's no invitation for me to the International Film Festival. And therefore, no reflection of the true artists and filmmakers in Iran is possible. And we hope to make that possible via the festivals by having more and more international representation.
The question addressed to me was that you might not be aware, but this year, for the first time, the official organizations of the Iranian cinema have not been accredited to Berlinale, and it is a premiere after 30 years. And Mr. Azar asked me whether this was a sign and which side of the history or people or cinema, independent cinema or official cinema, would I belong to, in my opinion? And my answer was that obviously I do I do not represent, but I belong to the independent cinema, obviously. And I was explaining that in the past years since I began my career, none of my films, whether with or without permission, were ever admitted to be shown in Iran. None of them. They were all censored. And so I think that at the time of that so-called free art, revolutionary art has come to an end in the Iranian way. I mean, the propaganda cinema. And I really take it as a very positive signal given by the Berlinale team, and I thank them for that, to the independent cinema and to the freedom fighters of Iran that something new, a new chapter has begun. And I think it will be more strong in the next months.
So there is a question back there, but first it was here. Mm-hmm.
I would like to ask my question in French. I have two questions. Firstly, you said that you thought that animation film was the correct material for describing the war. Could you tell us why exactly? And secondly, tomorrow there will be a solidarity demonstration pro-Ukraine on the red carpet. Which role can cinema play here for the exiled people from Iran and the people of Iran outside the country? Should I answer in French or in English?
D'accord.
Okay.
Okay. Alors.
Well,
j'ai déjà oublié la question, c'est formidable.
I've already forgotten the question. Sorry. No.
Par la seconde partie, donc
I'll talk about the second part. Tomorrow there's going to be a demonstration, a red carpet demonstration in solidarity with Iran. And all the teams, Iranian film teams, will take part in this. And I think it's very important because we're there
c'est à nous de porter
We're here
la voix,
and we will have to be the voice of revolt and the Iranian revolution, because we can't do that with our films and with our words and gestures. And I have never stopped doing that, actually, ever since September. We've done everything we could to organize demonstrations of all kinds, cultural and political, and I think it will be very important to be the standard bearer there, because we are here and we can do it. And the first part of the question, could you please remind me what that was about? Okay. The Iran-Iraq war, as has been said, is a very important chapter, not just of Iranian history, it's actually the first Gulf War. And so it's very important for the whole region. And then also the Iranian and even Iraqi borders meant that we later had further Gulf wars. We had the American invasion of Iraq and all that happened after that in consequence. And so this is a war which was completely manipulated by the media in Iraq by Saddam, then also by the Iranian regime, and there was practically nothing, no free narrative of this. Independent films to be able to screen or to show on screen personal narratives and not just propaganda. And here in the film we have two young people, and that helped us. It was fascinating. It's not just about this region in Iran. It's very important for us to be able to give our own version of the facts. And we have the two protagonists who are adolescents, as we were at the time. And animation was the correct medium for this, because you have a huge amount of freedom for imagination to be able to narrate the story, and that also freed us from all sorts of other constraints of the cinema, which was not the cinema I would like to see and create for my own DNA. So I was free to choose.
Shall I translate myself? What did I say? Okay, now to retro. I said that choosing animation as a medium to talk about the war has two main reasons. One being that it gives you an enormous freedom to address the atrocity of the war without using the reconstruction which you need to and the effects that you need to do so when you do a live action film. And it gives you also the magical resource of the animation. So that was quite a natural decision for me to make when I wanted to address this part of the history. As I said also before in another part of my answers, Javan and I were both teenagers, and we were really affected by this war, though we were not living on the front in south of Iran, but the whole country was affected by the war. So it was a very important chapter for us to explain, in order to also make an independent film, because this war was manipulated in the medias by both Iranian and Iraqi sides, by Saddam and Khomeini, and there are very few, or hardly any, independent films existing on this period. So that's why we decided to make this film, or I decided, and I took everybody on board with me. And regarding the other question, yes, it's very important for us to shout out loud our sympathy and our support for the Iranian revolution, as we will do tomorrow, and I hope everybody will be there with us, because we're here in a free country, and signs are strong by Berlinale and the international media, and we have to really support the revolution, because they are there and they're looking at us, and it's important to give them a strong signal.
And there's also, I can add something, this was the first time I was writing for animation. The writing for animation is really interesting because there's not dumb enough, everything is doable. You can do everything. The imagination is completely free. And when you are writing a script, you are bound to what's possible, how does it cost to make it, or there is an epoch movie and things like that. But for animation, you are completely free to imagine. And it's also so interesting when I imagine something, I write something, I wrote it, I give it to Sepideh and then Zaven. When Zaven makes, for example, this balloon of, for the football balloon, it was exactly the same. I was playing with this when I was a kid. It's really, that brings tear in my ear. It's really interesting to imagine how, the imagination is not bound in the animation. But I hope this is the last animation you made, because 8 years is really long for a movie. 8 years.
But Javan, for this emotion you had about the football, it was worth it.
Yeah. But my main objective, football balloon has to be exactly the same.
Of course.
Okay, thank you. Since we're running out of time a bit, so maybe short, quick one, yeah.
You speak about wanting to support the revolution in some way. Can this film be interpreted in some way as shouting out against the revolution? How does it match? And also, it's mentioned somewhere that the Iran-Iraq war hasn't been documented enough or spoken about enough. Why is it important to speak about this war in particular now? And why is it important for Western audiences to engage with the war?
Wars are always important to talk about, because they do not, they end, but the traces they leave afterwards are still there. We still have films made about the Second World War or about the Vietnam War, and they're always relevant when they are made with a purpose and with something particular to address, a particular message. When we started working on the project, there was no sign of the present Zendegi Azadi, Masajina mini revolution, wave of revolution, but things we are addressing in the film and in the script were all messages that have been there for 44 years of resistance. People have been resisting their own way, in many ways, and these things and these bits of resistance are building in the society. So it ends up in a film which we started, 8 years ago, but you see it today as being relevant. That's exactly what we try to do, meaning that if the message is right, it goes beyond its time, and it can go backwards, it can go forwards, and it will. I think this war, as I said also earlier, was the first Gulf War, and it opened the door to many other atrocities afterwards. And I think there's still a lot more to say about this. We try to do a part of it.
Thank you.
Can I say something?
Yeah.
To complete and to answer, maybe. I do it in French first. Hi, first of all. Paul Valéry,
the poet and French politician, said
La guerre et la tuerie et le massacre
and killing and massacres are between people who don't know each other. He's translating himself.
Between people who don't know each other, in profit of those who know each other, but they don't kill each other. It means the whole thing. Javan brought a sentence in the movie, and the guy Omid asked the engineer, who invented something like that? Who brought the war? I mean, who was the cause of this war between Iraq and Iran?
Cheated first.
Who cheated first? Yeah. And he said none of them, neither Iran nor Iraq. The God did this. So, well, it was metaphorically said what the whole goddamn is, this, you know, this war. Well, that's all.
Thank you. Last question.
My name is Mahari Segi, African Refugee News. I enjoyed your film, but what you said before, I didn't enjoy it so much because this is the Berlinale International Festival. They cannot kick out a journalist, even if he's Iranian, because I have a friend, he has been here 10 years, and he was not in Iran, he lives in Berlin, and he was not allowed to come to the Berlinale. And this is not good, because then we do the same thing that they do in Iran. You know, censorship. This is not good, because it's better to have a critic than to know that somebody cannot come and watch the films at the Berlinale. And we collected money to make him see the films.
The journalists are not
Excuse me,
kicked
I don't think that
It's
I ever...
Iranian official cinema.
Yeah, I was talking about the officials
he
of
is, but
Iranian propaganda system is kicked out.
Yeah,
not
but this is not right, I think, because we have to face them.
We face them every day.
No,
Since 44 years. This is the first time.
Since Panayi was
This is the
here.
first time the world start to listening to Iranian
Just a
people,
second, just
the
a
true
second.
Iranian voice.
Just a second.
And does it bother you?
Can you let me finish, please?
No, I mean, I think it's okay that the discussion could take place at another place, at another time, because actually right now it's now we're actually running out of time, although it could be interesting, but not a dialogue, please, and not a fight. Yeah. Okay, so actually it's not censorship, but we're really running out of time, so thanks a lot for being here. Thanks for all your work, your dedication, all the love. I actually also had a lot of questions for you as voice actors and actors, but yeah, it was very touching how you put so much emotions into the voices. And maybe a last word for you?
Yes, I wanted to thank both actors here present because exactly a lot of the energy of the film relies on their voices. Mina has done, for those who might not have guessed, the voice of Omid, the main character. So interpreting a teenager, a boy's voice is really a challenge for a young lady like her. So even though she has a jazzy voice, but I really liked what she did. And she also did a bit of, you know, Paris facing Omid, so it was even more of a challenge. And Hamid here has done many voices, so yes, many other voices. So it really was a challenge, and they were there from the beginning with the storyboard. You know, they did the temp voices, then we did the board on it, and then they did the final voices. So I really want to thank them, and I also want to thank Sébastien Onomo, who has been following with his very zen and cool attitude the whole process of the 8 years until this moment. So. And as you can see, he's still very cool. So I really thank him for all he did.
Yeah.
And thank you all.
Thank you very much. Yeah.